There is a quiet light that shines in every heart. It draws no attention to itself, though it is always secretly there. It is what illuminates our minds to see beauty, our desire to seek possibility, and our hearts to love life. This shy inner light is what enables us to recognize and receive our very presence here as blessing. It would be infinitely lonely to live in a world without blessing. The word blessing evokes a sense of warmth and protection. It suggests that no life is alone and unreachable. Each life is clothed in raiment of spirit that secretly links it to everything else. Though suffering and chaos befall us, they can never quench that inner light of providence. And now, as we light our chalice, an echo of O'Donoghue. There is a mystery within me, and try as I may, I cannot come to the end of it. It teaches me reverence for the unfathomable wonder at my core. Hidden One, you alone know the secret within me. For are you not that secret? Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Whidbey Island. You are welcome to bring all of you, your fear and fury, your anxiety, your loneliness, and your pain. My hope is that you will find relief here, a glimmer, perhaps only the potential for whatever might bring you solace, hope, peace, joy, lying dormant within us all. My name is Kate Nunn. I will be your worship leader this morning. I'm grateful, as I'm sure you all are, that Tom Pocock is at the tech deck, and Jeannie Murphy, our pianist this morning, is here. And we have the Holtzers who will have refreshments for you after the service. I have an announcement, which I've buried here. Yes, this is for a class that's going to be offered by Effie Brown. It's called Imagination as a Spiritual Practice. We use our imagination many times a day. Everything that humans create begins as an idea or picture of someone's imagination. We will explore ways to be more intentional in focusing our imagination to accomplish our dreams and goals. If you're interested, please see John Long in the foyer after the service, and he'll give you times. I think it begins in March. And our speaker today is Reverend Amanda Aikman, a retired UU minister. Amanda is a writer with over a dozen plays and 2 books to her credit. She is a spiritual director and a joyfulness consultant, helping individuals and groups add joy to their everyday lives. She herself enjoys video games and Victorian novels, salsa music, and sketching in nature. Amanda lives in Everett with Nancy, a citizen scientist. She last appeared in our pulpit 8 months ago, and we're very pleased to welcome her back. Now, let's turn to the affirmation. And if you'd stand, please.
Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its practice. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another.
Hugh opens the introduction to his work, To Bless the Space Between Us, a Book of Blessings, with these words: "The quiet eternal that dwells in our souls is silent and subtle. In the activity of blessing, it emerges to embrace and nurture us. Let us begin to learn how to bless one another. Whenever you give a blessing returns to enfold you." To learn from animal being is the title of a blessing that offers comfort and the courage to cast out fear as we encounter the thresholds we must cross if we are to retain our inmost self within the wild rhythms of our lives. And Joanna.
Nearer to the earth's hearts, deeper within its silence, animals know this world in a way we never will. We who are ever distant and distracted by the parade of bright windows thought opens, their seamless presence is not fractured thus. Stranded between time gone and time emerging, we manage seldom to be where we are, whereas they are always looking out from the here and now. May we learn to return and rest in the beauty of animal being. Learn to lean low, leave our locked minds, and with freed senses, feel the earth breathing with us.
Hi. Gosh, it's great to be here. You have the most beautiful church building, and the people are pretty nice too. Have two short readings. First is from Matthew chapter 7. Is there anyone among you who, if your child asked for bread, would give a stone, or if the child asked for a fish, would give a snake? And the second reading is from Song of Myself by Walt Whitman. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So in the readings. When I was a nerdy, bookish teenager sulking in my room after some perceived injustice by my parents, I found so much solace in that passage by Walt Whitman that I copied it out into my special book of meaningful quotations. Living with animals sounded like an excellent option, given how disgusted I was with humans. Squirrels wouldn't scold me for refusing to help weed the garden in the summer heat. Raccoons wouldn't make me iron my father's stupid handkerchiefs. Well, I never did turn and live with the animals, and I never became what I would call an animal nut, always being more interested in people. I mean no disrespect to any animal nuts who may be here today. But lately I've been turning to animals for solace when I've been in turmoil. I've even just finished taking a class at Edmonds College about animals of the Northwest. Ask me about mountain beavers. I'll tell you everything I know. And when I can't stand the news anymore, I've been finding myself watching animal videos. Anybody else do that? My favorites lately are kind of mean, but very funny. The ones where dog owners try to con their pets into eating vegetables. A few dogs actually like vegetables, crunchy cucumbers aren't so bad, but most dogs have a different reaction. The dog owner will lure the hungry dog to sit in front of his bowl. The human, concealing the snack in her hand, will chirp cheerfully about how good, how luscious, how delicious this snack is going to be. The dog, expecting his usual treat of juicy chicken, gets more and more excited, but being well trained, keeps sitting in front of the bowl. Finally, the owner holds out the snack and pops it into the dog's eager mouth. The dog's expression grows more and more confused and conflicted as he chomps into the promised delicacy, slowly realizing that this is not a yummy piece of chicken, but some alien object, and eventually spits out the chunk of raw broccoli. The expression with which he then regards his owner is so pitiable. The sadness in the eyes, the disbelief that this nice human would betray the trust that had been built up between them. I don't know why it's so funny, it just is. I have been attending a liberal Christian church in Seattle, and periodically my partner Nancy asks me a little nervously if I think I'm now a Christian. I say no, I don't think I'll ever be a Christian. But I am a big Jesus fan, and I love hearing stories from the Bible, and I love praying with people. I think Jesus was a wise man, a prophet, and above all, a great poet. He had the extraordinary ability to condense deep wisdom into an easily grasped, earthy, memorable metaphor. Everyone in his audience, poor peasants mostly, would have known what it was like to want to give good things to their children, to feed them as best they could. It's a deep, universal desire among virtually all humans, but even more for people who are in poverty and uncertainty. So Jesus plugs into that deep desire and extrapolates it to encourage his listeners to understand that God, envisioned as a loving parent, wants everyone to be fed, to be happy and satisfied, to be given spiritual chicken, not raw broccoli. Perhaps we laugh at the expression of betrayal on the dog's face because it's so relatable. We've all experienced the outrage of expecting a good thing and being given a poor substitute. We all know the burning, helpless feeling that results. I remember once as a kid accompanying my parents to a department store while they looked at beds. The beds looked so beautifully soft, and of course I went to bounce on one, finding to my dismay that the soft, silky bedspread concealed not a springy mattress, but a hard block of wood. When something like this happens, you feel like an idiot and resolve not to be fooled again. Friends, I'm sure that we're not all of the same political persuasion. Being religious liberals doesn't mean that we're all political liberals. You know this, right? We share many values, but it doesn't mean that we share the same beliefs. As John Wesley said, though we cannot think alike, may we not love alike? May we not be of one heart, though we are not of one opinion? Without all doubt, we may. In this spirit, I hope that those of you who support and have faith in our president will hear me when I say that some of his actions over the past month have terrified, dismayed, and distressed me. Anyone else? You can say yeah or heck no, or some of his actions, I hasten to add, I have agreed with and support. Some of them might very well turn out to be better than I fear. But some of them, many of them, seem to exemplify the concept of cruelly giving stones to those who ask for bread. I'm not going to go through a long list of outrages. We've had enough of those lists. Just one that I will single out because it touches me sort of personally. My family is an immigrant family. My parents and I was 18 months old, we didn't come as refugees. We didn't swim over a river or trek through a desert. We sailed over on a Cunard liner. My dad had accepted an engineering job, and they had left their homes in gray post-war England to start a new life in a strange promised land called Connecticut. My mother never became a U.S. citizen despite her eventual passionate love for the Boston Red Sox. And my dad only got naturalized because he needed security clearance for his engineering job. My sister and brother were both born here. And my sister and I were talking on the phone the other day, and she reflected that if birthright citizenship is indeed rescinded, she could be in danger of losing hers. I doubt very much that ICE will bother to knock on the door of her house in Kennebunk, Maine to arrest and deport her, but there was just a moment of, oh no, this is real. A tiny, tiny microcosm of the terror that so many immigrants are experiencing. The Constitution in the 14th Amendment said to the children born of immigrants and to people freed from enslavement, here is the bread of citizenship. The president has said, in effect, I've decided to give out stones instead. Even if we're not personally affected by these policies, there is a cloying fog of concern, anxiety, and anger clouding our shared reality these days. I can't remember anything quite like this. On Inauguration Day, Episcopalian Bishop Marianne Budde spoke so courageously to the president, asking for compassion for the vulnerable people who are at risk in these uncertain times, asking for mercy, asking for bread, not stones. My friend Megan told me about the fears that awakened her at 3 a.m. the night before she went to join the March and Rally for Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Day in Olympia. Another friend, Rebecca, who runs a federally funded program that helps homeless people in King County who have HIV, told me that she too has been waking up at 3 a.m. in fear, frustration, and anger. I imagine that some folks in this congregation have been waking up in the small hours with similar feelings. I know I have. Waking up at 3 a.m. often leads to increased activity in the amygdala, which is the part of the brain responsible for processing fear and anxiety, causing a heightened state of worry or rumination due to the reduced activity of the prefrontal cortex responsible for rational thinking during the later sleep cycles. Essentially, your brain is more prone to focusing on negative thoughts when you wake up in the early morning hours. What I'd like to offer are a few ways that you might support the vulnerable person who is closest to you, your own precious beloved self, as we go through this difficult period. So here's some ideas that might help. Pray. Ask for what you truly, truly need. In those dark early morning hours when your amygdala is wide awake and your fight or flight response is so active, maybe your prayer will be as simple as saying, "Here I am, please help me," or "Give me some peace." Ask for the bread you need. If prayer doesn't work for you, try taking yourself for a mental walk through a house where you were happy, or a neighborhood you loved, or a hiking trail you enjoy. Be as detailed as you can as you envision that. Or listen to an episode of the wonderful podcast, Nothing Much Happens. Do any of you listen to Nothing Much Happens? I'm an evangelist for this. I listen to it every night, and when I wake up in the middle of the night, I listen to it for about 10 minutes, and I'm out again. I have no idea how any of her stories end, because I fall asleep, which is what it's. Nothing much happens. You can set your phone to turn off after 10 or 15 minutes, and it's it's free and it's really, really good thing. So you'll probably soon be back to sleep, and the fight for freedom and justice needs us all to be wide awake, not nodding off. A wise commentator with personal expertise in authoritarianism says, the single best way you can resist fascism is to not let them terrorize you constantly. Protect your mental health to ensure you are not constantly in a terrorized state. Protect your mental health to ensure you are not constantly in a terrorized state. Folks, take the long view. Remember that humanity has existed for about 300,000 years, and that our direct ancestors, those who lived to puberty and passed on their genes to us, these ancestors collectively survived a couple of ice ages, a handful of plagues, volcanic eruptions, barbarian invasions, and century upon century when it was really hard to find a decent cup of coffee. In our own young country, there have been worse times than this. We think immediately of slavery and the Civil War. And I recently learned that there were over 70 incidents of physical violence between congressmen in the years leading up to the Civil War, mainly duels, but also a brutal caning right on the Senate floor. The country survived. At 3 a.m., I suggest we focus not on the violence and terrors, but instead give silent thanks to the ancestors for their strength and toughness, persistence, and love that enabled us to be here. Take Mr. Whitman's advice, turn to the animals. Really. Sadly, my beloved cat Mousehole died about a year ago, just short of her 21st birthday, and I miss her comforting purr more than ever these days. But I've filled my social media feeds with videos of tigers, lions, otters, skateboarding pit bulls, skiing crows, and those weird, unnatural friendships between deer and Labrador retrievers, and they help my blood pressure dip. Join or continue to support groups that are doing the good practical work of building bonds and creating more life right where we are. I know you guys are great with this on this island. Educational institutions, gardening co-ops, ukulele bands, hiking groups, anti-racism groups, and of course, your church. And especially groups that are supporting the people who are most likely to suffer under this regime. Seek out places where you can be free to express your fears and both give and receive comfort. Go for the deeply nourishing bread of solidarity and communal strength. And friends, turn to the artists and singers and writers who are bringing beauty and love into the world every day. Turn to wise historians such as Heather Cox Richardson, who wrote such a hope-filled column on Friday that I printed out some copies to share with you. And Tara, would you stand up? Does anybody know? Tara's got some copies that to give to you after the service. If anyone needs a little injection of optimism. And for gosh sakes, turn to comedians. I couldn't manage without a dose of Jimmy Kimmel every few days. If you have funny friends, hang out with them. Shamelessly flatter and encourage them. It's okay to laugh. It won't hurt anyone. And finally, in the rivalry of bread versus stones, choose the same side that Jesus chose. Don't give stones. Don't lie to yourself or anyone you care about. Give the bread of truth, your truth. Keep connecting to who you are at your core. Your values, your ethics, your beliefs. Build up capacity to resist. Remember that authoritarians are like abusive parents. They only see us as extensions of them. They have no clue how powerful joy and community and self-expression can be. We can use this to our advantage. We can be the strong-willed child they never saw coming. Friends, do what you feel called to do. Give what you can, but give only what you can. Take care of yourself first. No one needs an exhausted, depleted you. We need you at your happiest and healthiest. Spending time connecting to your true self is not selfish in these days. It is intricately connected to a resistance movement that is tied to honoring our bodies, our communities, and the land. We have to build capacity to resist by being exactly who we are. This too shall pass, and though extensive damage will no doubt be done, hold on to a lifeline. Hold on to your faith, your values, your friends, your comrades in struggle. Hold on to that lifeline in confidence that we will pull ourselves through, because we will. We will pull ourselves through. The world that awaits us on the other side of this awful interlude will need people who are strong and joyful and deeply connected to the spirit of life and liberty and their own beautiful, compassionate hearts. Let's be those people. What do you say? May you be richly blessed.
We extinguish our chalice with these words by John O'Donohue. May we all receive blessing after blessing, and may we realize our power to bless, heal, and renew one another.